I'm Holly, 29, standing in the warm glow of the birthday party lights, surrounded by laughter and the faces of those who truly see me. I can't help but cast my mind back to that fateful New Year's Eve. The manila envelope, now a symbol of truth and liberation, lies on the coffee table, its edges slightly frayed from being clutched so tightly that night. The room was filled with the hum of conversation and the clinking of champagne glasses as the countdown to midnight neared. I had just stepped forward, ready to join my family for the traditional photo, when my mother, Vivian, 53, her face a mask of annoyance, her eyes narrowing, barked, "Holly, could you please go check on the appetizers in the kitchen? I want to make sure everything is still properly arranged for our guests." The words hit me like a physical blow, shattering the fragile hope I'd clung to all evening. I took a deep breath, my heart pounding in my chest. "It's almost midnight, Mom. I want to be here for the toast with everyone else." "The appetizers can wait 5 minutes," I said, my voice trembling slightly but determined. The room fell silent, all eyes turning towards us. Vivian's face flushed, and her voice grew sharper. "Holly, I need you to handle the kitchen right now. This is important, and I'm counting on you to take care of it." But I had reached my breaking point. After years of being treated like an outsider at family gatherings, after an entire evening of being excluded from the celebration while working tirelessly to make it perfect, I couldn't back down. "It's midnight, Mom. I want to toast the new year with my family. I want to be in the photo with everyone else." "The kitchen can wait," I said, my voice stronger now. Vivian's composure cracked, and in a fit of rage, she spat out, "You don't belong in this family. Why don't you just leave?" The words hung in the air, heavy with the weight of years of rejection. But instead of crumbling, something inside me shifted. Reaching into my purse with steady hands, I pulled out the manila envelope. "You're absolutely right, Vivian. I don't belong in this family. Because 28 years ago, you adopted me and never told me." The room erupted in gasps and exclamations. Aunt Grace, 50, dropped her champagne glass, the sound of it shattering on the hardwood floor echoing through the stunned silence. Uncle Leo, 52, stared at Vivian in disbelief, while neighbors whispered urgently to each other. Vivian's face went pale, and she stood there, speechless. I continued, my voice gaining strength. "I found these last month when I was helping you clean the attic. Hidden in a box behind your old Christmas decorations, there were my birth certificate with a different name, adoption decree, and medical records that finally explain why I never felt like I truly belonged here." As I looked around at the shocked faces, I remembered the years of pain and confusion. Growing up in a picture-perfect suburban family, I always felt like the odd one out. My older brother, Ethan, 32, was a successful lawyer, married to Lily, a nurse. They had 2 lovely kids, Noah and Ava, and were the pride of the family. My younger sister, Mia, 26, was studying to be a doctor, engaged to Ryan, an engineer. They were on the path to a perfect life, just as Vivian and my father, Henry, 55, a financial advisor, had planned. I, on the other hand, had chosen to be a freelance graphic designer. I loved the freedom and creativity it offered, but to my family, it was a sign of instability. I lived in a small downtown apartment, surrounded by artists and free spirits, far from the suburban ideal. Our annual New Year's Eve party had always been a grand affair. Vivian spent weeks planning, from the menu to the decorations. The house would be transformed into a winter wonderland, with twinkling lights and elegant table settings. But for me, it was always more of a chore than a celebration. I was always assigned to kitchen duty, while Ethan and Mia mingled with guests, enjoying the party. In the months leading up to that party, Vivian's criticism had become more and more pointed. At family dinners, she would frown at my career choice, asking when I was going to get a real job. She would also make snide remarks about my single status, suggesting that I needed to settle down. On the day of the party, when I arrived at the childhood home, Vivian took one look at my stylish red dress and said, "Holly, that dress is a bit too casual for tonight, don't you think? This is an important evening. Mr. and Mrs. Thompson from Henry's office will be here." I swallowed my frustration and headed to the kitchen, where I spent the evening arranging appetizers, stocking the bar, and coordinating with the catering staff. As I worked, I could hear Vivian in the other room, her voice warm and welcoming as she talked to guests about Ethan's latest promotion and Mia's upcoming wedding. But when she spoke to me, it was always in a cold, business-like tone. As the evening wore on, guests arrived one by one. Aunt Grace, with her usual dramatic flair, pulled me into a tight hug and asked, "Holly, honey, please tell me you've met someone special. You're too talented to be spending all your time alone." Uncle Leo patted me on the shoulder and said, "Still conquering the business world, Holly? Good for you, though I don't know how you manage without a good man to take care of you." Their words, though well-intentioned, stung, a constant reminder of how I didn't fit in. My cousins, too, represented the life my parents thought I should lead. Cousin Emily brought her husband and 3 kids, chattering about soccer games and school events. Cousin Jake showed up with his new baby, receiving all the attention and praise. Watching them, I felt the familiar pang of being the outsider. But I pushed those feelings aside, determined to make the party perfect, even if I wasn't going to be part of the celebration. But then, that moment at midnight changed everything. After I revealed the truth, the room was in chaos. Ethan stepped forward, tears in his eyes. "Holly, we had no idea. How could Mom keep this from us?" Mia, sobbing, reached out for my hand. "You're still our sister. Adopted or not, nothing changes that." Vivian, however, refused to accept the truth. "Those papers don't mean anything. I raised you. I fed you and clothed you and gave you a home when your real mother didn't want you. I sacrificed my life to take care of someone else's mistake," she screeched. Henry finally found his voice. "Vivian, stop. That's enough. This isn't how we should be handling this." But Vivian turned on him. "Don't you dare tell me how to handle this, Henry. This was your idea. You were the one who pushed for the adoption when we couldn't have more children after Ethan." The extended family members were divided. Aunt Grace stepped forward, her eyes blazing with anger. "Vivian, how could you do this to Holly? For 28 years, we've all loved her as our own, and you've been treating her like a second-class citizen." Uncle Leo shook his head in disbelief. I couldn't hold back any longer. "You want to talk about sacrifice, Vivian? Let's talk about the sacrifice of growing up feeling like nothing I did was ever good enough. Let's talk about watching you beam with pride over Ethan and Mia while ignoring my achievements." Vivian's face turned red, and she shot back, "I did the best I could with an impossible situation. Do you have any idea how hard it was to raise a child who wasn't mine? But I was no longer the girl who would be silenced. At least now I know why. It wasn't something wrong with me. It was something wrong with you," I said quietly. In the days that followed, the aftermath of the revelation was like an earthquake. I stayed at my friend Chloe's apartment downtown, needing space to process everything. Ethan and Mia reached out, filled with guilt and regret. Ethan called me on January 2nd. "Holly, we've been talking non-stop. We should have stood up for you. We noticed the way Mom treated you differently, but we didn't say anything." Mia's call the next day was even more emotional. "I keep thinking about all the family photos where you're standing alone. I'm so sorry." Extended family members also reached out, offering support and apologies. Aunt Grace called to say she should have seen the signs. Uncle Leo sent a long email saying that adoption didn't make me any less of a family member. Meanwhile, I continued my search for my birth family with the help of a private investigator. I found my birth mother, Iris, 46. When we first spoke on the phone, her voice was filled with love and regret. "Giving you up was the hardest thing I ever did. I've thought about you every day," she said. As the weeks passed, a new family dynamic began to form. Ethan, Mia, and I grew closer, bonded by the shared truth. Henry made genuine efforts to connect with me, bringing me the photo album he'd secretly kept, filled with pictures of my achievements. Vivian, however, remained isolated, refusing to acknowledge her wrongdoing. According to neighbors, she became increasingly bitter and cut off from everyone. 6 months later, here I am, at my 29th birthday party. The guest list is smaller, but the love and acceptance in the room are palpable. Iris is here, sitting in the corner, sharing stories about my biological father, a painter, and showing me photos of relatives I never knew. James, my boyfriend, a fellow freelancer, squeezes my hand, his eyes filled with admiration. "You're amazing, Holly. Your story is so inspiring." As I blow out the candles on the birthday cupcakes, I make a wish for continued growth in the relationships that truly matter. I've learned that sometimes the most loving thing you can do is walk away from toxic relationships and build a family of your own, one based on choice and mutual respect. The manila envelope may have been the catalyst for the end of one chapter, but it also opened the door to a new, more authentic life.